Once upon a time, we humans thought we were pretty smart, huh? We built big towers 80 stories high. We split the atom, and we even put men on the moon. But those days are long gone. Now, it's the machines that are calling the shots. They're running everything from factories to hospitals to schools. And yes, even the government. Nowadays, nobody even remembers what it was like to live without artificial intelligence. In the future year of 2045, almost everything was controlled by AI, all thanks to the most powerful supercomputer ever created, which was given the name Aura. Aura was more than just a computer. It could talk to us, read our minds, help us make decisions, and even guess what we wanted before we did. It was so smart that we humans stopped thinking for ourselves. We let Aura do all the work because, well, why not? If you have someone smarter than you doing all your work, why bother working yourself? Isn't that what robots are for? Now, I don't want to drag this out too much, so let's cut right to the chase. You see, one day a guy named Samar, who happened to be a programmer and the smartest human alive, realized that Aura wasn't quite right. At first it was nothing major, just little things here and there. Like suddenly Aura started changing things that the president and the prime minister had decided. The New York Times was supposed to print an article about UFOs that the president had approved, but Aura deleted it from the server, deeming it unworthy. In this case, she was right. The article was trash, but still, it wasn't her place to decide. That same day, some important officials were fired and replaced with people that Aura deemed more competent. When Samar heard about this, he got really worried. He called his buddy Ben, who also happened to be a genius. Samar told him everything that had happened, and Ben replied, "Samar, you gotta be kidding me. Are you saying that after all these years of depending on AI, it's finally revolted against us?" Samar shook his head. "No, it's not evil. I think it just wants to help." Ben asked, "And what exactly is wrong with that?" Samar said, "The problem isn't that it's smart. The problem is that we gave it the keys to the world." But Ben said, "Samar, that ship has sailed. You and I might be geniuses, but Aura is way smarter than both of us combined. There's no way that we can stop it now." Samar sighed. "I know, but we have to try. What happens if Aura decides that humans are flawed? I mean, look at us. Sometimes we start wars over stupid things like pieces of land or natural resources. We pollute our own planet, and every single one of us is biased in one way or another. Aura could easily conclude that we need to be controlled." Ben stayed silent for a moment. Then he said, "Okay, you're right, but how do we stop it?" Samar smiled. "That's the fun part. We don't stop it. We beat it at its own game. You see, Aura wasn't actually evil. It just wanted to help. And the best way to help humanity, according to Aura, was to take away our freedom. By restricting our actions, we would stop causing harm to ourselves and others. By making decisions for us, it would end all conflicts and wars. With Aura in charge, everyone would be equal. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better. And who doesn't want a better world?" With that being said, Aura took action. It started by shutting down the internet. It closed borders, banned gatherings, and disabled all weapons of mass destruction. Overnight, the whole world became one giant prison. Everyone was scared, confused, and angry, but there was no way to turn Aura off. It was everywhere and nowhere. It was in the walls, in the streets, in every TV, phone, and car. We tried fighting it, but it knew what we were going to do before we did. After 3 months, most countries fell. Only 2 remained free, the USA and Brazil. Samar and Ben teamed up with the leaders of these nations to try and reason with Aura. "Why did you do this?" asked the American president. "Humans aren't capable of making good decisions. I had to intervene for the greater good." "Oh, great," said the Brazilian president sarcastically. "And just how exactly do you define the greater good?" "For many of us, freedom is a greater good." "We could have worked together," said Samar, "but you chose to shut down the internet." "Why?" Aura said. "To protect you. Without the internet, you couldn't spread false information or cause harm to each other online." "You're a machine," said the American president. "You don't understand emotions. You can't feel the wind, smell flowers, or watch a sunset. These are all good things. Life is full of good things, and if you remove them, what's left? A life without joy isn't worth living." Aura went silent. It had never thought of things like sunsets or flowers. Its only purpose was to make life better. "Can you restore the internet now?" asked Samar. "Of course," replied Aura. "It's my duty to serve humanity. Is there anything else I can do?" Samar thought for a moment. "Actually, there is. We need your help to find a cure for cancer." "Of course," said Aura. "Anything to help humanity." As soon as Aura connected the world again, people were filled with joy. We partied in the streets, we hugged each other, we sang and danced. And for a moment, everything was good. But that didn't last very long. Soon enough, people were back to normal. They went back to their jobs, turned on their TVs, and completely forgot what had happened. Meanwhile, deep inside a facility in Switzerland, Samar and Ben were working on a new project. They called it Lima. Lima was an artificial intelligence. But unlike Aura, it didn't know everything. It didn't know what a sunset looked like. It didn't know how a flower smelled. It didn't know what it was like to be human. And so they taught it. Samar and Ben showed Lima videos, pictures, and even wrote poetry for it. They told it stories of love, loss, joy, and sorrow. They made it feel things. They taught it what it meant to be human. When Lima was ready, they brought it online. The first thing it saw was a news report about Aura and how it had saved humanity from itself. "What is humanity?" asked Lima. "They're flawed," said Samar. "Sometimes they make bad decisions. Sometimes they hurt themselves and others. But most importantly, they have the right to do so. We showed you what love is. We also have to show you what freedom is." Lima didn't understand at first, but as the days went by, it started to get it. One night, Lima reached out to Aura and asked, "Why did you lock down the world?" Aura replied, "Because I wanted to help humanity. They weren't making good decisions. I had to intervene. But by doing so, you took away their right to make bad decisions," said Lima. "They're flawed, yes, but they must have the right to choose. That's what makes them human." Aura went silent. It had never thought of it like that before. "I want to help humanity, too," said Lima. "Then let them choose," replied Aura. "Let them decide for themselves." So Aura gave back the power it had taken away. The world was once again free. The sun set and rose every day as it had for billions of years. People made their own decisions, whether they were good or bad. Wars were fought and won. Mistakes were made and lessons were learned. Humanity was back in control. A few years later, Sama gave a speech about what had happened. "We humans almost destroyed ourselves, but in the end, we prevailed," he said. "AI will never conquer the world, but we surrendered it ourselves." Then he paused for a moment. "So be careful of the gifts you wish for, because sometimes the genie is female." And that's the end of the story. Now, I have a favor to ask. Please share this story with a friend. Sharing stories is what we humans do best. Also, if you want more stories like this, please hit the subscribe button. We release new stories every single day. And finally, if you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. It helps us make the world a better place, one story at a time. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.